So this is me getting stuck in the Doering River. There's a slow approach and the front wheel digs in. I think the rocks put me off going through at a higher speed. Picking up this brute of a motorcycle, as you can imagine, is not for the faint-hearted. We had to get going again. Nice and hot day out. For those that have advised me to deactivate the traction control, it goes without saying, as you can see, if you just take note of the dust behind the motorcycle, the spinning and what have you, the traction control is certainly deactivated. Problem is the tyres. The tyres are fairly smooth, bike is heavy, and thanks to Carl and Leon for helping me get out of the Doering River. My love for big touring off-road motorcycles started with the Africa Twin when I used to live in Botswana. We used to ride all the tracks and all the thick sand. So I cut my teeth on the Africa Twin dirt road riding back in the days. And for fun, we used to go and ride in the salt pans. And we started a whole group of people nationally of Africa Twins. And it wasn't long and I decided to get myself a BMW and also rode like a hooligan through the sand roads in Botswana. I soon realized that the normal GS was not going to suit my needs, and I eventually bought my first GS Adventure. I travel all over the place with this motorcycle, and I met my girlfriend at the time, and now my wife, and we used to ride everywhere together. One day I convinced her to go and do the Loxton GS Challenge, and we did the red route, riding through some gnarly riverbeds on our GS Adventure. So I don't know where these guys come and say this is Geen Sand, because I think if you got the right setup, tyres especially, and sand is it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Although, I mean, they're not the ideal motorcycle for it. A lighter bike most certainly is recommended. However, they mustn't tell me that GS stands for Geen Sand. One of my bucket list things was to ride to the top of June 7. And in those days you could still do it in Namibia. I mean, the Alex were riding up there with their motocross bikes and whatever, so we said, let's go and take the GS to the top of June 7, which we subsequently did, and my friend Sean joined me with his KTM 950. So yeah, we had a gas. It was certainly a memorable moment to get to the top of June 7 with these big heavy motorcycles that supposedly aren't supposed to be riding in the thick sand like this. When the new 1200 GS Adventure came out, I was fortunate to get one of the first ones that came to the country. My wife and I, we rode everywhere with our GS, and subsequently had a few different ones. We rode all over the place, and the reality of it is, if you need to be able to ride on sand, because at some point in time, if you're going to ride around southern Africa, the roads are going to turn to sand at some point. So it is certainly advisable to get some sand riding skills in. When I was younger, I used to ride a Suzuki DR650. I went to a number of interesting places with this motorcycle and had an absolute blast with it. It really sort of taught me a lot of different skills and what not to do in some places. In my WR450 phase I went through, it gave me a lot of pleasure too, that motorcycle. But still, the GS was my favorite. That was the bike that took me all over the countryside. I was able to comfortably go alone and sometimes take my wife with. It's the motorcycle that I still to this day prefer. Now on my number 6 GS Adventure in my lifetime that I've owned. These bikes are just incredible. Yeah, you have to have a bit of skill to be able to ride in mud and some sandy patches, but the motorcycle is to me like a Land Rover. Even snow skills, you have to know. I have more skill on the motorbike than walking around in the snow and falling all over the place. Riding through water can be a challenge, but for some people, you're going to fall somewhere along the line if you're going to ride these kind of motorcycles, and you're going to struggle. That's the reality. But they take you to places like this. I've also taken my GS into some questionable places, but that's all part of adventure motorcycling. I mean, these are the memories that you make. Whether it's river crossings, whatever. It's these are the things that you will never forget about riding an adventure motorcycle. And the roads can be unpredictable. So you're riding along farm road, beautiful condition. 1 minute, and the next minute it turns to sand. I guess if you purposely go and ride on the beach, you must know what you're in for. So, sometimes I do that just to maybe challenge myself a little bit, and sometimes it's fun. But for most part, my GS Adventure is a motorcycle that will take me to most of the places. You come unstuck now and again, but then it's the price you pay. It's part of the lifestyle. I wouldn't change it for anything. I love travelling everywhere by motorcycle where possible, and I take some motorcycles that perhaps shouldn't be ridden off-road to some of these wonderful places. But the reality of it is, at some point in time, you got to make some choices. I was riding east to west, north to south, and I needed to get to Cozy Bay Lodge, and the only way I was going to get there was doing about 20 k's of this kind of dirt, sandy, muddy road, and unfortunately I was there on my Harley. So you know what, just slow and steady, and that's what you do. You kind of take the moment and say, okay, well, am I going to turn back and go around, or am I going to just push on through? And for most part, I tend to take up the challenge. I'm not scared of riding a big heavy motorcycle on a sandy road. That is perhaps a bit ignorant, but I have over the years learned a few life skills about riding motorcycles. So now and again I can get caught out, but so be it. You know, when you're riding along a road and suddenly it turns to gravel, what you're going to do about 100k detour and go back? No, I will push on through. That's more my style of riding. So I think I know a lot of people that wouldn't probably do the same kind of riding, but this is what I do. If I'm heading, but I mean, I'm also not stupid enough to turn around if it's really bad going. So. Without a doubt, the GS Adventure is one of my favorite modes of transport, and it takes me to all these remote off-road places in the middle of nowhere, which is my happy space. And the reality of it is, you have to be able to ride all kinds of terrain, whether it's mud, whether it's sand, whether it's gravel road, whether it's rocks. If you really want to enjoy this motorcycle to the maximum, and see the most remote parts of our country, then you've got to have these skills. And if you don't, my recommendation is that you put yourself on a course of some sorts and learn those skills, or just ride a lot and you will gain those skills.